After a couple of tough years for Mercedes, George Russell is finally optimistic that the team's W15 development is on the right track. He claims that the team has spent more time developing and learning from their missteps. Will Mercedes return to the top step again? Following a difficult title struggle in 2021, the Mercedes team, like Red Bull Racing, did not have the opportunity to begin early on the construction of the car for the next season. Mercedes struggled to adequately build a car for the new conditions due to new technical regulations in 2022. With their sidepod design, they absolutely missed the target. But George Russell believes Mercedes will avoid car design traps with their 2024 Formula One Challenger, as it did with the little bit rushed W14 design. Mercedes made a surprise decision to keep its Zeropod sidepod design and overall car concept, which was first conceived in 2022's stubborn W13 at the start of F1's new ground effect era, believing it could be turned into a Red Bull Challenger following Russell's victory over teammate Lewis Hamilton in the 2022 Brazilian Grand Prix. However, Mercedes quickly abandoned that strategy after the W14 was proven to be well behind the speed in the 2023 Bahrain test and season opening. At the Monaco Grand Prix, it was modified with Red Bull's downwash sidepod idea, with team principal Toto Wolff recently noting, "There's almost every component that's being changed because only by doing that, I think we have a chance with 2024's W15. These alterations, according to Wolff, would affect how we laid out the chassis, weight distribution, the airflow." Russell said he was more confident going into this 2023-2024 winter break, since Mercedes had been working on the new W15 concept for a long time and there's been so much due diligence gone into that concept. "Whereas I think last year it was all a little bit rushed," he said. "We didn't have all the information to hand, we may have jumped to a couple of conclusions without thoroughly going through the consequences. And we learned when the car hit the ground this year that we made a step forward in some regards, but it came with a lot of baggage and we hadn't taken that into consideration. So, I think we've done a great job to truly understand what we need. We've obviously had a further 12 months experience to further understand the car and what brings the performance. I think last year we put all our eggs in one basket, and that wasn't a basket that provided the performance we were expecting. But the fact is we've got to close a huge gap. The Red Bull dominance this year, in 2023, is probably the greatest. I think statistically it is the most dominant car ever. So we've all got a huge task on our hands. But I'm going into next year with an open mind. I don't think anyone's expecting either us, McLaren, Aston Martin or Ferrari to make that step straight away. But I'm definitely confident we won't fall into some of the same traps we did this year. So Mercedes will be ready to hit the ground running again in 2024. But this also means that when Russell and Hamilton clash again on track, this time it will be for the win instead of a podium place. Could this turn their relationship sour? According to Russell, it doesn't matter, as George Russell has stated, that he and Mercedes Formula One teammate Lewis Hamilton trust each other, and that any disputes in 2023 could be explained by the sheer number of times they cross paths on track. And it won't be carried over into 2024. The Mercedes too notably clashed during qualifying for the Spanish Grand Prix before colliding at Turn 1 in Qatar, for which Hamilton, who was eliminated, accepted full responsibility. Hamilton also looked hesitant to heed a strategy decision in Japan when the team asked him to decelerate to allow Russell to fight off Ferrari's Carlos Sainz in the final stages. These flashpoints, according to Russell, are normal when the duo is evenly matched. They drew 11 all in the 2023 qualifying head-to-head, which meant they met frequently on track. Asked about the comings together, Russell replied, "I think it's normal when you're so close in performance. When you're lapping at the same lap times or you're starting next to one another on the grid, you're always going to be close. We always go through our strategies in meetings. The pace difference between the two of us is 0. We're always going to be going across a 24-race season, an average of 60 laps per race. We cross paths a lot, and he's the driver I cross paths with the most." So I think that's probably what we put it down to. Russell emphasised that the two trust one another to provide adequate distance on the track even when they are stressed, and that the Qatar incident was caused by a small misjudgment. He continued, "I think also we trust one another. There may be tense moments, it may be hard, but we trust one another. We know that we'll give each other enough space to fight necessarily and not go beyond the limit. Obviously, Qatar was just a bit of a lap one small misjudgment. That's another opportunity where it was another podium or even a potential victory missed. Russell, who finished 8th in the standings while Hamilton was 3rd, described 2023 as the most difficult season I've ever had psychologically. Russell feels that his blunders are the result of him pushing himself harder than ever before since he is not content to be on the same level as Hamilton. Russell added, "I'm purposely trying to push myself further and beyond. I'm not satisfied with just being on par with my teammate in qualifying or whatever it may be. Or last year when we were very even across the whole season. I want to be ahead. That's what I'm pushing myself for. Perhaps that's been a small reason for contributing to a couple more mistakes." But where Russell is pushing, so is his teammate Hamilton, who is aiming to get back on the top step as soon as possible. And Lewis Hamilton believes the desire to return to the top step of the podium with Mercedes is one of the main reasons he remains devoted to Formula One. The 7-time world champion hasn't won since the 2021 Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, the race preceding that year's controversial season finale in Abu Dhabi. While he has had some challenges since the start of the new ground effect era in 2022, he is certain that his drive to return to the top of F1 has not been affected by recent competitive problems. One of the things that keeps him motivated to give more is the expectation of the flood of emotions that comes with post-race win celebrations on the podium. "It's the dream of standing on the top step, seeing your team," he stated when asked what keeps him motivated in F1. "One of the most amazing things is being able to look back and having the flag of the nation rising behind you and seeing the team. I remember the first win I had with this team in Hungary in 2013. I have a particular picture of 2015 in Australia with the team down there in tears. It was just amazing to be a part of that. The power of that is a huge part of the drive. Winning the World Championship is a huge part of the drive. Continuing to build with the team on the impact work we're doing and continuing to push with the team with Mission 44. I don't know how far that can go and I'm trying to expand it, and that means I've got to raise more money." Mercedes is betting its F1 recovery on an all-new car design for 2024, after failing to nail its aero idea with both its 2023 and 2023 cars. It is the most difficult test Mercedes has faced since returning to F1 with its own works team in 2010. And Hamilton compares the task ahead to his own attempts to drive Mercedes to the front after joining in 2013. "When I moved, there was an excitement," he said. "We expected it to be rubbish to start off with, because they hadn't had a lot of success. So there was just raw excitement. I was a new person on the team, getting into the nitty-gritty with everyone and building relationships. That was a different kind of excitement. Now, we have known each other for years and we have great relationships throughout. So, I think it is interesting also from the outside, just looking at everyone and how they are handling the time. I think people who are watching don't appreciate that, for everyone, they are away from their homes and their families for so long, missing special dates with kids and all sorts. You see people's energy levels go up and down and you try to fill in the voids when there is one, and the same vice versa. That's what a team does." It's safe to say Hamilton and Russell both are still as motivated as ever and both believe in the W15 concept for this year. But do you believe in it as well? And do you think they can stay friend even when they race for P1 every weekend? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. Thanks for tuning back into the channel and get ready for plenty of amazing F1 content this year.